bad moon. Come on. Oh. The moon is the problem. Isn't Mercury out of retrograde? We can't blame it on the moon. So, good evening, everyone. Today is, October 19th, 7:05. My name is Robert Cagnetta, and this is the meeting of the South Kingstown Zoning Board of Review. Members present tonight are Mr. Daniels, Mr. Rosen, Ms. Walsh, Mr. Diamond, and Ms. Hicks, who we are welcoming to the board. And so thank you very much for serving with us. Also present are Jamie Gorman, South Kingstown Building Zoning Official and Building Official, Amy Goins is South Kingstown Special Legal Counsel, and Jessica Spence, Administrative Support Associate. The board is made up of 7 people, and 5 of them are regular voting members. 5 members are required to be present to vote. In the event one of the 5 regular members is not present or they recuse themselves, an alternate will step in. Tonight, the voting members will be myself, Mr. Daniels, Mr. Rosen, Ms. Walsh, and Mr. Diamond. And then on the last petition, Ms. Hicks will vote in the place of Mr. Daniels. Applicants are here for a variance, dimensional or use, or to seek a special use permit. The board is a quasi-judicial body created by South Kingstown Ordinance pursuant to state statutes. We don't follow strict rules of evidence, and we seek to operate in a fair and equitable manner. We try to let everyone speak unless they get carried away or it's determined not to be relevant. So please try to be brief and on point. We do our best not to argue and keep things civil, and we try to hear our last petition by 10 o'clock. When your petition is called up, please come up to the podium, state your name, and spell it for the record. Please speak clearly into the mic so we can all hear you. That you will then be asked to take an oath to tell the truth, and then you can present your petition along with your witnesses testifying in your support. The board will ask questions. After the petitioner's testimony, anyone with questions, support, or opposition to the petition will be asked to step forward. They will state and spell their name, be sworn in, and present their testimony with more questions from the board. Please direct any questions to the board, and the petitioner will be asked to respond to the audience questions or comments by the chair after the comment period. After all the testimony and before a vote is taken, board members will discuss the evidence presented. Variance and special use permits require 4 of the 5 voting members to vote in favor of the petition for the granting of the relief requested. Board members ask a lot of questions, and there's a good reason. We cannot just grant anything we choose. There are rules to follow per this South Kingstown's ordinance, so you must give testimony to support certain facts to allow your request to be approved. Tonight we have dimensional variances and special use permits on the agenda. So for variances, you must offer evidence to the board setting forth the following: that the hardship is due to the unique characteristics of the subject land or the structure and is not due to the general characteristics of the surrounding area. That the hardship is not the result of any prior action on your part. The granting of the variance will not alter the general character of the surrounding area. The relief requested is the least relief necessary. You must demonstrate the hardship to be suffered if the variance is not granted will amount to more than a mere inconvenience. And then we have a special use permit. You must present the following: that the requested special use permit is specifically authorized by the zoning ordinance. Somewhere in the zoning ordinance, this has to be authorized, or we do not have the power to grant it. This special use permit meets all the criteria set forth in the zoning ordinance authorizing such special uses, and that the granting of the special use permit will not alter the general characteristics of the surrounding area or impair the purpose or the intent of the zoning ordinance. Did you want to go over since Mr. Daniels is here now, do you want to kind of go over the schedule before he goes? Yeah, we can do that. Okay.
In regards to the petition for Parkwood Drive, we're trying to figure out some dates that we can do that. The November hearing already has 6 petitions on it, so I don't think there'll be enough time to start that petition and give it its full time. We were looking at November 30th, but I was just informed that I won't have a board member here for a special hearing date. And then the next available Wednesday that the council chambers are available is December 14th. So I don't know. Okay, so if I could have attendance availability for December 14th. So that would mean in December, we have a meeting on the 14th, and then the regularly scheduled meeting on the 21st.
What about December 28th instead? Because I'm not available on the 14th.
All right, let me... We could do the 28th, that's our normally scheduled backup day. Is everyone available on the 28th? Mr. Rosen, if you're not, you're recusing anyway, so. Well, how about we tentatively say the 28th, and then you can get back to me in the next couple of days. So for the 28th, I would need to advertise by December 9th. So I just need to know prior to December 9th. That's perfect. All right, so we'll tentatively plan the 28th. Usual time, and that would be the only petition that we're hearing that night.
So the alternate would be going into January, or does that create problems if we get into January?
Well, if we go into January, the quorum requirements are gone, or, have changed, so it isn't really.
So but nothing else would occur with the applicant, with the application in terms of
No, we could just conduct the meeting with 4 members
4 members instead of, all right, okay.
if necessary.
And then it also switches to a majority, a simple majority of 3 of 5 instead of 4 of 5? Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll find out. I'll let you know by tomorrow.
Perfect, and then once I hear from you, I'll shoot an email out to everyone, and then we'll let the applicants know to see if that works for them. Okay. Thank you. Well, and then one more thing just before, because Mr. Daniels, so in regards to the normally scheduled November meeting, is everyone available? That's the 19th, I believe? Oh, 16th, I'm sorry. Yes, the 16th. Okay, great, thank you.
So for tonight, the first petition is the petition of Robert and Doreen Grandel of 3 Corn Crib Lane, Rocky Hill, Connecticut, 06067 for a dimensional variance under the zoning ordinance as follows. The applicant is seeking to construct a 28-foot by 10-foot addition to the south side of the dwelling and 28-foot by 4-foot roof awning attached to the north side of the dwelling. The proposed awning will be located 24.9 feet from the west corner side property line, and the addition will be located 32.5 feet from the south corner side property line. The required corner side setback is 40 feet, so a relief of 15.1 feet to the west, 7.5 feet to the south is requested. Lot size is 22.74 acres. Dimensional variance is required per the zoning ordinance, section 401, dimensional regulations, and section 907 are standards of relief. Owners of the property are Robert G. and Doreen M. Grandel for a premises located at 70 Shadberry Trail, South Kingstown, Assessor's Map 89.2, Lot 68, and is zoned R80. And for the documents, we have the signed application, the owner authorization signed and notarized August 11th, 2022, field appraisal, field card, 3-page, existing and proposed elevations and floor plan, 14 pages, site plan, 1 page, prepared and stamped by Joseph P. Toscano, PLS, and dated July 8th, 2022, WebGIS, 1 page, Rhode Island maps and aerial photo, which is 1 page, and then a 200-foot radius map and a butters list, legal notice, proof of certified mailings, and notarized affidavit of mailing. Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you tonight?
Not too bad. How you doing?
Good.
My name is Kelly Fracassa, and I represent the Grandels this evening. Just as a few other quick things about the property. It's 2.74 acres, so it's a fairly large parcel, but the issue here is that it's long and thin. The house was built in 1986, and it was tucked down into the southwest corner of the property, and so that made it non-conforming by dimension. And that pre-existing nonconformity is pretty much the genesis of the variance requests here. The septic system is tucked even further into the southwest corner of the property. On the eastern side, as you go further east from the house, unless I'm reading the map wrong, it looks like there is a steep slope downward where it meets wetlands, which abut the, rather run along the eastern side of the property. In fact, you can see them on the site plan, which is on the screen up there, which I really like. I wish other towns did that. The house itself, on the east side, some portions of it are already within 50 feet of the wetland edge, and if I'm remembering my DEM regulations correctly, which I'm probably not, I believe DEM requires at least a 50-foot buffer from the wetlands. Now, the Grandells took title to this property in 2017. So they pretty much inherited what they have now. There is a deck in the front. They want to convert that deck into an addition for living space. They would have a deck above it. Also, the rear of the house, they would like to put an awning. They also want to put in a screened-in porch on the east side, but that's irrelevant, doesn't need any relief. So one thing which I struggled with a little bit, and I left this to the surveyor, is the amount of relief, because I couldn't quite tell that from the plan there, and she's probably better at reading it than I am. She determined that we need a 7.5-foot corner side yard variance and a 15.5-foot side yard variance, and I can pretty much see that because the house is around a shade under, well, actually around 25, 24 feet from the boundary, so that certainly makes sense. The existing house, as you can see in the floor plans here, it's 3 levels. The first level, it has no living space. It's a garage, storage, washer, dryer, and an electric water heater. The second floor is where the living area starts. It's got 2 bedrooms, a kitchen, dining area, and a living room, and the deck out front with the stairs which point down towards Arrowwood Trail. Those stairs, if I'm reading the plans correctly, are going to be eliminated or at least reoriented so they're not closer to the roadway. Upstairs, there's 1 bedroom, a bath, and a studio. And probably the best thing for me to do is just to introduce some brief testimony here. Doreen?
Good evening.
Good evening. Could you please state your name?
Doreen Grandell, D-O-R-E-E-N, Grandell, Grandell.
And you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Excellent. Please go ahead.
Mrs. Grandell, you reside in Connecticut, is that correct?
Yes,
All right, but you own the property here at 70 Shadberry Trail?
yes,
Okay. And you and your husband, Robert, took title to it on September 29th of 2017, is that correct?
yes.
And if you could just very briefly describe the property for us, just very briefly, very generally.
So we love the property, we love the house, we have great neighbors. I don't think that's something that you need to know, but we love them. It's, Kelly had mentioned that it's 3 stories. The first floor is just, a half-bay garage, a full garage, excuse me. Storage space, a laundry room, and then the second floor that's our main area of living. It's got 2 bedrooms, a bath, a full bath, or a small kitchen, and a small living area. And then the third floor is a bedroom and a family room. We call it family room, and a full bath.
And how do you heat the place?
It's electric.
And have you made any changes to the house since taking title in 2017?
Nothing, no,
Nothing to the footprint, nothing to the decks, anything like that?
no, just paint.
All right, so basically what you see now is what you bought back in 2017. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And roughly how often do you use this house during the year?
So in the spring and summer and fall, we're here, more frequently. In the summer, we're here a lot, on the week, during the week and the weekends. In the winter, we try to come up at least a couple of weekends a month, every other weekend. So it's more of a summer home for us right now.
Kind of a getaway spot?
Yes,
What future plans do you have for the property?
we'd like to retire here.
Okay. And do you envision any changes to the house in order to transition to permanent use as opposed to just a vacation getaway?
Yeah, so as we retire and get older, we'd love to be able to bring our washer and dryer upstairs into the main area, which is one of the reasons why we want to expand the kitchen, so we can actually put it on that main living floor.
Okay, let me stop you right there. The kitchen and dining area right now, if you can describe that for us, please. How big is it?
It's small. It's small.
Is the kitchen and dining area basically a combined spot?
Yes, it's one big open room.
All right, so you've got your stove, your oven, and a short distance away, you've got a dining room table and chairs.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes, and the one wall is windows, so there's really nothing that we can put there at this point. So it's relatively small.
All right, so it's fair to say that you're looking to expand your dining kitchen area so you actually have a dining area and actually have a full-fledged kitchen, is that correct?
Yes,
Kind of like what
exactly.
everybody else has.
Exactly.
All right. And how about on the third level? Do you have any plans for that?
So the only thing we'd like to do is add a deck on top of the addition. So we just change the windows that are currently in the family room to at least one, door to be able to get out to the deck.
Because with this addition, you'll be losing the deck that you have, is that correct?
We'll be losing the front deck, yes, because it'll just, the addition will be the front deck. We do have the side deck, which is what we want to do, a screened-in porch.
Okay. And I take it you'd rather have a screened-in porch over there than a deck, is that correct?
Oh, yeah, with the wetlands, it's buggy, so we definitely want to have it be more of a, and that's where we dine out, so we want to have it screened in so that the bugs don't get to us.
Now, the deck which you would like to build above the addition, that's within the same footprint, occupies the same space as the addition below, is that correct?
Yes.
All right. So whatever dimensional relief you need for the addition, you don't need any additional dimensional relief for the deck because it's going to be the same distances from the sideline. Am I getting that right?
Correct.
Okay. Now, also, how about the heat in the house? What do you intend to do with that?
We want to go propane. It's a lot cheaper than electric.
And how does that figure into your renovation plans?
So with the washer and dryer coming upstairs, we would be able to put a furnace where the current laundry room is and be able to convert to propane.
And you'd also need some room in the house for ductwork and all that other fun stuff, right?
Correct.
Okay. Now, there's an awning you planned in the rear of the house, is that right?
Yes.
And can you describe it for us?
It's just a small roof so that, when we get out of the car, if it's raining or something or guests come over, it kind of shields them from the elements.
Okay, so it serves a very practical purpose in that respect, is that
Yes.
right? Okay. Now, you've been in this neighborhood for about 5 years, correct?
Yes.
All right. And are you familiar with the other houses in the neighborhood?
Yes.
And how would you compare the size of your house currently to those in the immediate area?
So our house is more in the middle from a size standpoint. There's a few houses that are, 2,500 square feet or more, and then one that's, I think, around 24, one that's like 23, and then there's 2 small cottages which are used, periodically by the owners.
Okay. And how many houses in the area that you are aware of are occupied all year round?
1,
And what's the size of that house compared to yours?
larger than ours.
Now, if the board grants approval for your renovations here, how will the size of the house as renovated compare to what exists in the neighborhood?
It would still be smaller than the bigger houses that I mentioned, and still bigger than the cottages, but it would still be more middle of the road, I guess.
And how would it compare to the other house, which you know is used all year round?
Still smaller.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, the other houses in the neighborhood, have you observed any decks on those houses?
Yes.
And are any of those houses 2 stories or more?
Yes.
And on those houses which are 2 stories or more, have you observed decks on upper levels?
Yes.
So having a deck on an upper level is it fair to say it's not uncommon in the neighborhood?
No.
That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Board members, any questions for the witness? Mr. Daniels?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a bit of clarification. The application indicates the addition will be located 32.5 feet from the southwest corner, or south corner sideline. But I see 25.5. I don't see the 32.5 measurement on the site plan. Can we get some clarification on that?
Yes, and that's probably my fault because, yeah, me. I'm not supposed to say that. Somehow I just did. When I got this plan, I couldn't tell what the relief would be. So I spoke with the engineer and surveyor on this, and she said, well, just email me the application, and I will put them in for you, because I know what they are. Oh, okay. So she did that. And what I forgot to ask her to do is redo her site plan so I can tell, and we all can tell, where those figures are coming from. I can tell where they are on the sidelines here, but for the life of me, I can't tell from that where she comes up with a 32.5 feet and thus a 7.5 foot. I'm trusting her judgment on it, basically.
So, let me ask the building official, are we talking about the measurement from the southwest corner of the addition to the corner of the lot? Is that what we're talking about?
So the southwest corner of the addition to the south Arrowwood property line.
Yeah, southeastern, the southeastern, actually south and then east corner. So is that the 32.5 measurement that?
Yeah, let me pull up, or I'll unpause this. So from
There, right.
from here to here,
Is that the 32.5 measurement that's referenced in the application?
correct.
Okay. Well, it would appear to be certainly more than 25.5, so.
Scale-wise, it seems to match
seems-
with
seems
about
to
that.
Okay, thank you.
Board members, any other questions for this witness?
Yes.
Mr.
First of all, I drove out there. And that's a very long drive that you have from the main highway down to where your house is. And all of that is your property, correct?
It's all wetlands.
Beautiful piece of property, I might add. The addition that you're going to put on this is going to contain only a kitchen or a dining area?
Kitchen, living room, dining area, it's going to be open.
It's going to be open. And is the kitchen going to be in there?
Yes.
Okay. When I first drove up to it, I saw that it was kind of looked like a boxy house to me. I didn't realize that there was a deck behind it.
To the side, you mean? There's one in the front, it's kind of like a wraparound.
The east, yeah.
Yep.
I'm not quite sure I understand what the awning is going to be for on the north side, since the north doesn't get much sun.
It's more for rain, just when people, because that's our door, essentially,
Is that where the garage, the entrance to the garage is? And where's the entrance to the house?
It's to the side of the garage. There's the door.
On the back side of the house?
Yes.
Ah, I didn't get around to walking to that side. Okay. Just one other point. I understand where you're coming with electric heat in the middle of the winter, because that was the first house that we had. And my wife wasn't very happy most of the year, the winter. Is there any way to get natural gas in there?
I would love to, but I don't think so. With the pond, I don't think that's possible.
I didn't,
We haven't looked, to be honest.
I didn't think so, because it's pretty rural out there, yeah.
And none of the houses have, as far as I know, natural gas. They have propane. So we just are under the assumption, one of the builders that we spoke to also said it would be propane, so I'm assuming that that's what we would be.
One other thing, Kelly, what's your last name? How do you spell that?
Fracassa.
Cassa? Fracassa, okay, thank you.
Any other questions, board members? Thank you.
All right, I'll just very quickly,
Sorry.
It's only my name.
Yeah, well, it's, you know.
It's okay.
I'm looking at a cell phone here because Swifty here forgot to sync up his laptop with the presentation I have on my computer at my office. But I did email it to Doreen here, and she has it on her phone. So that's why I'm looking at this. Just going quickly through the 5 standards here. Hardship due to the unique characteristics of the subject land. You've got a long, thin lot, good portion of it is wetland. You've got a house tucked in the far corner there, which is dimensionally non-conforming from the start. The front is the best place for the addition, because if you build it in the rear, you're going to, well, first of all, you're still going to have the same problem with the sideline, but it's also going to be a little bit closer to the wetlands, and you're going to have a DEM problem. So this is probably the best spot for it. Hardship is not due to any action of the applicant. They didn't build the house in 1986. This isn't a financial gain matter here. We're not raising that as the hardship. As far as altering the general character of the surrounding area, the house as it exists, and if it were renovated, would be very much in keeping with what exists in the neighborhood. It's not going to stand out like a sore thumb. As far as least relief necessary and hardship, both of those kind of go together because they mesh with each other. Least relief necessary is that amount of relief which is necessary to alleviate the hardship. And the hardship here, it's more than a mere inconvenience, as the chair stated earlier, and that's defined by the courts as reasonably necessary for the full enjoyment of a permitted use, which is a little bit more descriptive than mere inconvenience. And some of the commentators on this mean that when you apply this in the residential context, it means that you have the right to build a reasonably sized home. So what's reasonably sized is, you guessed it, it's a standard of reasonableness. It's not something which you can hone into a precise mathematical figure, either as to the hardship or the amount to alleviate it. So basically you measure reasonableness a lot of times by what exists in the neighborhood. And this is no Taj Mahal, this certainly isn't a McMansion or anything like that. It's pretty much the same as what we've got there. And also what these folks are doing is want to change from a vacation style home where you don't need a whole heck of a lot of room to something where they would want to live permanently, where you're going to need a little bit more. That's reasonable. That's reasonably necessary for that type of a permitted use, a full-time use as opposed to a part-time use. The awning in the back, it serves a practical purpose. It just
Thank you, Counselor. Any other questions by board members? Okay. Is there anyone out in the audience that wants to speak on behalf of this petition? No. Okay. Board members, any thoughts? No. No, I just asked. Yeah, no.
Support.
Oh, well, yeah, or opposed, forgive me. There's an assumption. Nope. It seems reasonable. They're only sort of extending it a few feet, the footprint on the south side. So it doesn't seem to be egregious at all, and it makes sense relative to what the council had presented, so. Is there anyone that wants to make a motion on behalf of this applicant?
I'll make
Okay, Mr. Rosen.
I'm going to move to approve the position of Robert and Doreen Grandel for a dimensional variance. Doreen and Kelly Fracassa are the only ones that spoke on behalf of this petition. There was no opposition to this petition. The chairman has read the petition previously and presented all the information that we have associated with this petition. As a consequence, the board finds that the hardship from which the applicant seeks relief is due to the unique characteristics of the subject land or structure and not to the general characteristics of the surrounding area. All they were simply doing is adding an addition and an awning over the north side. The addition is going onto the south side of the house. It's going onto the second floor of the house, and they're just extending, making more interior room so that they can have a livable area in which they can retire. There will be a dining area and a kitchen added in that spot. There will also be a deck above the second floor, mainly for the purposes of, so that the third floor is accessible to that deck and that they can enjoy it during the warmer seasons here in Rhode Island. The board finds that the hardship is not the result of any prior action of the applicant and does not result primarily from the desire of the applicant to realize greater financial gain. They bought the house 5 years ago or so. They want to retire there. They're not going to have any financial gain associated with this, and it is any variance that is going to be associated with this petition is not the result of anything that they've done, because they did buy this house as it is presently constituted. The board finds that the granting of the requested variance will not alter the general character of the surrounding area or impair the intent or purpose of the zoning ordinance or the comprehensive plan upon which the ordinance is based. This house is going to fit in to what's there. There are several houses that are close by to them that are about the same size, or will be about the same size. I didn't observe what the cottages were and where they are, but it's a lovely area, and the property that they have is one that they should be able to enjoy for the rest of their lives. The board finds that the relief to be granted is the least relief necessary. They're really not expanding it very much at all, and it will make the house much more usable for their retirement years as such, and so I don't think that we have to quibble about that. The board finds that the hardship suffered by the owner of the subject property, if the dimensional variance is not granted, amounts to more than a mere inconvenience. Simply stated, if we didn't grant this petition, it's going to be very difficult for them to survive in that house during the winter on a permanent basis as such. In consequence, I move approval of this petition.
Thank you, Mr. Rosen. Is there a second? Second. Second by Mr. Daniels. Any other discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Rosen?
Aye.
Mr. Daniels? Aye. Ms. Walsh? Aye. Mr. Diamond?
Aye.
Mr. Cagnetta? Aye. Motion passes. Good luck. Stay warm. The next is the petition of Therocon, Inc. of 500 Shermantown Road in Saunderstown, Rhode Island, 02874, for a dimensional variance under the zoning ordinance as follows. The applicant is seeking to remove the dwelling roof and construct a new roof system to establish a second story. The second story will be located 17 feet from the front property line and 10 feet from the rear corner side property line. The required front and corner side yard setback is 25 feet, so relief of 8 feet and 15 feet is requested. The lot size is 0.13 acres. Dimensional variance is required per the zoning ordinance, section 207, non-conforming lots of record, building setback requirements, and section 907 are standards of relief. The owners of the property are Paul M. and Ruth F. Reimer for a premises located at 89 Old Succotash Road in South Kingstown, Assessors Map 81-3, Lot 118, and is zoned R80. And for this, we have the application signed and dated September 8th, 2022. Owner authorization signed and notarized September 12th. Site plan 1 page prepared and stamped by David W. Fish, P.E. and dated August 30th. Construction documents 6 pages prepared and stamped by David W. Fish, P.E. dated August 30th, 2022. System sustainability determination 1 page signed by Rhode Island DEM September 6th, 2022. And then there's a 200-foot radius map, a butters list, legal notice, proof of certified mailings, and notarized affidavit of the mailing. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone.
And you are?
My name is Peter Theroux, Theroux. I'm here on behalf of Paul and Ruth Reimer, who've owned this property, I think, for about 15 years.
Okay.
Originally built probably in the 50s.
And first, I'll swear you in. Would you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Excellent. So go ahead, Peter.
So I think I should describe the existing structure. The first floor is simply a kitchen, dining room combined, existing, a sitting room, a bathroom, and one of the 2 bedrooms in the house. It has a finished basement, which is just 1 open room, a laundry area, and a small bathroom. That's a walkout basement. When we move up to the second floor, which is simply a bedroom, you walk into the house, you have about 6'10" of headroom before the 8-pitch roof pitches to either side, right at the top of the stairs. So if you move either 1'15" to the left or right, you hit your head on the ceiling. So what we're proposing to do is simply take the roof off, add a short knee wall, 2 foot 1 inches, increase the pitch to a 9 pitch versus an 8 pitch, and put a dormer which is stepped in from the sides so that we still maintain that cape feel that's on the existing house. You'll still have those roof lines coming down the side, very much in keeping with the neighborhood. So the hardship is simply that my clients are planning to move here as they're close to retirement. It's a 2-bedroom house. It's going to remain a 2-bedroom house. We're adding a bathroom on that floor with the extra space that the dormer provides. And, for their full-time living, it's nice to have the 2 bedrooms actually functioning as bedrooms, although they're very small. We're not going outside the existing footprint of the existing structure at all. And I think that's it.
And you're going to stay within the height requirements as well? You're not going taller than you're permitted?
We're not. The new structure is going to be 2 foot 6 inches taller than the existing,
Okay.
But that's still within the height restrictions, I believe, in that area, Jamie, yeah.
Okay, great, thank you. Board members, questions for the applicant? No?
Um, I went there. It's a very small house.
Yes,
It's right on the corner of Old Succotash Road and Succotash Road.
correct.
And there's a lot of traffic there, as such. Believe it or not, it took me a long time to find the house because 89 Old Succotash Road, there didn't appear to be a number for the address there. But I did find it eventually. And I have to agree with you, it is a very small house. What I don't understand is, I couldn't believe when I first read it, there's a second floor there?
That roof is the second floor with 2 gable end windows.
That's just not an attic?
No. There's a full set of stairs that goes up to that, and that's their second bedroom.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
I'm surprised. Okay.
It's pretty tight.
Putting raising the roof makes sense to me. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rosen. Any other questions, board members? No? Want to add anything, or you good?
I think it's a hardship to hit your head on the ceiling every time you get out of bed in the morning.
I think it's reasonable to expect to have headroom. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone out in the audience that wants to speak in favor or opposition to this? Okay, so you can sit down. Come on up. So just please state your name and spell it.
It's Michael, M-I-C-H-A-E-L, Andrews, A-N-D-R-E-W-S.
Okay, and you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Go ahead, Mr. Andrews.
Actually, I'm relieved at the description of the home. I also didn't realize, I was worried that it would change some of the neighborhood nature if a second floor was added with 2 new bedrooms, et cetera, because the concern I had was there's no driveway there.
Sure.
And so the folks in the neighborhood, we're worried because when you take that right from Succotash onto Old Succotash, it's almost a blind right. And if there were 2 or 3 more cars, it could create concerns for the children and other people in the neighborhood.
Sure.
But after hearing the description, I have a much better sense of the project and.
And you had a chance to see the plans?
Yeah, online.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay, and so,
No, I'm sorry. I did not see them. I saw this sort of stuff, but not the plans that he just described.
okay. Do you need to see them again? Or
No,
You're
his
comfortable?
description was fine.
Feel okay?
Yeah, so I just wanted to say that I originally came with some concerns about the parking area and that right turn, which I wish there was some way we could. It's an accident waiting to happen.
Right.
That right turn from Succotash onto Old Succotash. My worry was with kids in the neighborhood, additional cars because of additional bedrooms could have created more of a hazard.
Right.
But I don't see that as a worry. Thanks.
Thank you. Board members, you have any questions for this gentleman? Mr. Andrews? No? Okay. Anyone else out there? Okay, board members, what do you think? Seems pretty straightforward, going up, not creating any extra
Yeah,
bedrooms or anything.
it's needed.
Yeah, seems to be. Pretty straightforward. Yeah, standing up is a good thing. Someone want to make a motion for this petition?
Yeah, okay, I'll do it. Motion to approve the petition of, wait, I gotta get it here. Theracon Incorporated.
Well, can I ask a question,
Sure, right before he gets into it, yeah.
While Bill is mulling. Yeah, I have no problems with the project. Plan to vote to approve it. But is there anything that we can recommend about the if there's a potential safety issue there? You know, normally the board doesn't get into recommending things to the town council
I would suggest you could we can kind of informally ask staff to make that report to the town manager, but certainly any resident can bring that concern to the manager or the council.
So that's the route to go when we notice safety.
Yeah,
Jamie picks, you pick up on it, the staff, and then for the town, any resident can go to the town.
yeah, I wouldn't say it's something that really needs to be addressed in the decision, because it really isn't a condition. But I do think, I would recommend if anyone has any concerns about safety or traffic, contact the manager and/or the council.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
No problem. How you doing, Mr. Rosen? Ready?
Probably not.
Give it a shot.
Okay. As I said before, a motion to approve the petition of Theracon Incorporated, which I assume is a construction company which was represented here tonight by Peter Thoreau. Is that correct, Mr. Thoreau? Okay. And the following individuals spoke. Peter Thoreau spoke on behalf of the petition, and Michael Andrews from the audience, and a budding neighbor. Okay. Michael Andrews, a neighbor, spoke in behalf after some recognition that what was being done is not that drastic. Let's see, what else? The chairman presented the petition previously before anybody spoke. We have a number of materials that have been presented, and before the petition was heard. And as a result, I will move that the board finds that the hardship from which the applicant seeks, and I should put my glasses on so we can see what I'm reading, relief is due to the unique characteristics of the subject land or structure and not to the general characteristics of the surrounding area. It's a unique lot, actually, because it is at the corner of Old Succotash Road and Succotash Road. I didn't note that there was any garage there, and so there is, from my looking at it, I didn't see whether there was an entrance to a place to park. I personally parked on the street. And even though it's a busy street, it didn't seem to have any problems with anybody coming anywhere near my car. So I hope that that safety issue, if there is one, should be attended to. The board finds that the hardship is not the result of prior action of the applicant and does not result primarily from the desire of the applicant to realize greater financial gain. The applicant is planning to use it as a retirement home. It's going to be on the same footprint that is presently there. It's going to go up by 2.5 feet to a higher, but will still be under the height restriction associated with it. And they're simply adding some more space on the second floor so that they can live in the house and have reasonable 2 bedrooms in the house where they don't knock their head against the ceiling. The board finds that the granting of the requested variance will not alter the general character of the surrounding area or impair the intent or purpose of the zoning ordinance or the comprehensive plan upon which the ordinance is based. The roads out there are not paved. They're dirt roads. Old Succotash Road is a dirt road, and any of the driveways that go into other houses around there are all dirt. This particular house sits on a lot that is essentially on the main road, Sacotash Road, which is paved, and it's a very busy road. And so, doing something to improve the condition of this rather old house, it was built in the 50s, I understand, will improve, in my estimation, the conditions that are there, hopefully. And maybe if they have a car, they will build a driveway, which will help the situation associated with the safety that was mentioned by my colleague to my left. The board finds that the relief to be granted is the least relief necessary. They're not doing that much. They are doing a lot of construction, but they're not doing anything to really change the footprint of the house. And so it's going to look essentially the same in terms of the size of the house, except that it's going to have a higher pitch roof. The board finds that the hardship suffered by the owner of the subject property, if the dimensional variance is not granted, amounts to more than a mere inconvenience. Right now, the house is, I would guess, a summer home. And as I said, this couple, is their name here? Yes, the Reamers are planning to retire there, so I wish them well. And as a consequence, I move approval.
Thank you, Mr. Rosen. Can I get a second?
Second?
Second by Ms. Walsh. Any other discussion? No? Mr. Rosen?
Aye.
Ms. Walsh? Aye. Mr. Daniels? Aye. Mr. Diamond?
Aye.
Mr. Cagnetta? Aye. Motion passes. Good luck. Thank you. Mr. Daniels is recusing himself for the next, so Ms. Hicks is going to be a voting member, or voting for this petition. Thank you, Mr. Daniels, for working so hard. Yeah, it is, it is. This is the petition for Keith Briggs, thank you, for 4 Frank Avenue, West Kingston, Rhode Island, 02892, for a dimensional variance under the zoning ordinance as follows. Applicant is seeking to construct a 917-square-foot deck with a screened porch attached to the existing dwelling. The deck is located 9.4 feet from the side property line. The required yard setback is 15 feet, so a relief of 5 feet 6 inches is requested. Lot size is 0.49 acres. A dimensional variance is required per the zoning ordinance, section 401, schedule of dimensional regulations, and section 907 are standards of relief. The owners of the property are Peter J. and Melissa B. Cummings for the premises located at 40 Summer Street, South Kingstown, Assessors Map 88-1, Lot 72, and is zoned R20. For this, we have the application signed and dated September 14th, 2022. Owner authorization signed and notarized September 14th. Site plan, which is 1 page, prepared and stamped by Richard L. Cochin, PLS, dated February 21st, 2014, and revised on September 8th of 2022. 200-foot radius map and a butters list, legal notice, proof of certified mailings, and notarized affidavit of mailing. And then notice of recusal from Mr. Daniels, which I had previously spoken of. Good evening.
Evening.
And you are?
Keith Briggs.
Keith, good to meet you. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please spell your name for us.
Briggs, B-R-I-G-G-S.
Excellent. So go ahead. What would you like to do?
So what the application for is Phase 2 in 2014. The house went under a major renovation, which I requested and received a variance for putting a second floor over the existing garage that was non-conforming. At the time of this application, the proposal was to go no further than the side of the garage that was currently there. However, through some further design development and elimination of some of the components on the deck, I actually have some revisions to the plan, which is essentially amounts to requesting less relief than was originally applied for.
Okay.
So could I?
Yeah, so you can bring it on up. Thank you.
So the original plan was to incorporate a hot tub on the open part of the deck, which has since been eliminated as part of the scope. That's the reason why we can scale down the deck size. The cube that you're looking at as proposed deck, a good portion of it's going to be a screened area with a roof on it. And then the part that we're seeking relief for is an open deck. Essentially, you can tell from the elevations, approximately 4 feet off the ground. There's no intention to add living space above or any of that stuff. It's basically just, you know, to get the footprint within, you know, based on the design. Again, the total relief revision requested is 4 feet instead of 5.6, so we moved it back 1'7". And the deck size is approximately 40 square feet less that we're reducing it to. The property is not visible from the street. You really can't see. The house blocks primarily everything behind the house. And again, the design of the renovation that we did sort of was done in play so that we could accommodate this future, you know, addition to it in terms of the door coming out of the mudroom, as well as the room that's currently used as a dining room.
So, so you're changing, instead of the 9.4 feet away from the property line, you're about 11 feet now, is what you're saying?
Yep.
And the existing dwelling is 9.6 now? So the dwelling is actually closer?
Yes.
Than what you're asking for?
Yep.
And it gets, it's a little crooked, like the house is a little crooked to the
Yes.
property line? So you're gaining a little bit as you go back?
Right.
But the stairs aren't gonna still be a problem, they're still out of the way?
Nope, no, the stairs are actually going to be tucked behind the existing garage,
Okay.
as shown in the floor plan, and then the stairs out to the rear yard are within the footprint of the deck itself.
So the stairs will probably be the closest thing? That will be the 11 feet, essentially,
No, the edge of the deck will be the closest.
okay.
Yeah, yep.
Okay, so no other overhangs or anything, it's not enclosed or anything like that?
No, it's an open deck. And as a matter of fact, it shows on the second page of this, sort of a 6-foot privacy screen, which will most likely now be an open railing because, again, the privacy screen was for the addition of the hot tub when that was on the deck. Right. And it may be worth noting, too, there's extremely large mature vegetation all along that side of the property line. So you literally cannot even see the backyard from the neighbor's property.
Okay, so the Southwest folks?
Yep.
Weren't here. So, okay. Board members, questions for the applicant?
I'm just trying to
Please,
clarify.
Ms. Walsh. Yep.
I was okay with the first drawing. Now I'm confused. The gray area is,
The screen porch
the proposed
portion.
privacy screen. Is this deck linking the garage to the house? In this drawing, they show the existing garage. Is that what part of the renovation was to?
The existing garage, what we did is we put a second floor above it
Which shows in your drawing.
as part of phase 1, correct?
So the deck is going between
Yes, basically to sort of fill in the corner, if you will.
That makes sense. I just wanted to be sure. And these are the stairs?
Yes, you have stairs and a privacy screen. So what you're seeing there is a full width set of stairs, about 6 stairs up, and then the rectangular piece with all the lines in it is a privacy screen, so it's not more stairs. That makes sense. Any other questions, board members? No? Okay.
Just one comment.
Mm-hmm.
You were going to have, you're taking away the hot tub, right?
Correct.
Well, let me just, I was out there. This is a beautiful house,
Sure is.
as I told Tom earlier in the evening. I did walk around to the back and saw where you wanted to put the deck. It's kind of in a little open corner there. I might add that the dog didn't bother me.
Dog's fired.
Dog's fired, right? Just curious, why did you take away the hot tub? It doesn't look like anybody's going to be able to see anything there.
That was a client decision. They're probably going to put it down on the lower section.
Okay. It means I won't be invited to go to the hot tub. Oh, shucks. Okay, no problem. I don't have any problem.
Thank you. Any other questions, board members? No? Thank you, Mr. Briggs.
Thank you.
Do you want to speak on behalf of this petition, for or against? Okay. Any concerns by board members? Seems like they're not coming any closer than the existing building. Seems reasonable.
It's a very logical
Very sensible.
addition.
Why didn't they do it sooner, is what you're saying?
Engineer, not architect.
Yeah.
Filling in a corner, basically. Carrying up the house, it makes a lot of sense.
Sure. Okay. Does someone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion. Mr.
Excellent.
Chairman.
Please.
Okay, now you have to talk while I get myself together.
You need some fillers, some jokes or anything that'll get me through?
Okay, the board is making a motion to approve a request, a petition of Keith Briggs for a dimensional variance under the zoning ordinance, 401, Schedule of Dimensional Regulations, and Section 907, Standards of Relief. The owners of the property are Peter J. and Melissa B. Cummings, and the property is located at 40 Summer Street in South Kingstown. The items, the documents were read into the minutes. Mr. Keith Briggs, I want to make sure I have the name, yeah, spoke on behalf of the owners, and he described the situation where they're doing a major renovation starting in 2014, and this is the last phase, or phase 2, of the major renovation. The board finds that the hardship from which the applicant seeks relief is due to the unique characteristics of the subject land or structure, and not to the general characteristics of the surrounding area, and is not due to a physical or economic disability of the applicant. And this is because the house is in place, and they're filling in the square of the house to add an open deck so that the house will be able to have a recreational area outside. The board finds that the hardship is not the result of any prior action of the applicant and does not result primarily from the desire of the applicant to realize greater financial gain, because this is part of a long-term plan to renovate, maintain the house in its current condition or better. The board finds that the granting of the requested variance will not alter the general character of the surrounding area or impair the intent or purpose of the zoning ordinance or the comprehensive plan upon which the ordinance is based. Because they're seeking relief of, right now, the least relief possible, I think it was 4 feet, because the deck basically sits on the foundation of the house. And this is the least, the board finds the relief to be granted is the least relief necessary. In fact, in the middle of the design, the designer was able to make it so that it does not impinge on the other property, or impinges less, and therefore requires less of a variance than originally was asked. The board finds that the hardship suffered by the owner of the subject property, if the dimensional variance is not granted, amounts to more than a mere inconvenience, because as noted by Mr. Briggs and also in the application, this is part of the plan to renovate the house, and it's requesting the least relief necessary. There are no conditions, and I recommend, Mr. Chairman, that we pass the motion.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Walsh. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Rosen. Any other discussion? Nope. Hearing none. Ms. Walsh? Aye. Mr. Rosen?
Aye.
Mr. Diamond?
Aye.
Ms. Hicks? Aye. Mr. Cagnetta? Aye. Motion passes. Good luck. All right. We have the minutes from the previous meeting. Does anybody have any changes, recommendations, or alterations? No? Could we get a motion to approve?
Move approval.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, that's it. Anything else? Thank you very, yes?
I will ask Jess to share with the board some upcoming trainings that are coordinated by the Office of Statewide Planning, and they may be most helpful for you, Arlene. One of them is coming up next week. Don't worry if you can't make it. But as I've mentioned, starting in January, board members are going to be required to do some kind of annual training process, and the curriculum for that is still under review. But in the meantime, if anyone wants to check out these Zoom sessions, they're pretty helpful.
They are very helpful, I will say. So, they're easy. Several times.
I've done 2 already, Bill.
Yes. Okay. I just got notification of credit that I had from last year. But online, they're very easy and informative. So, and it helps because what we can do is we each have a cheat sheet that we use to make an approval. So you'll kind of know what that means and how to do it. Because the goal is to get everything in there a judge would need to either pass or to approve or deny something. So, or these are pretty important to get the summary right. So, and that's what and also, you know, being one who has misspoken during a meeting and had it held against me at a later point, it's really good to make sure that we say the right thing at the right time. My mistake was I actually mixed a special use with a variance. And I said they couldn't do, and it was just a very nitpicky case. I'm sure we misspeak quite often, but in that particular case, it was a problem. So what's that?
I've had my experience.
Yeah, they're not all like nights like these. So I would encourage anyone to sort of take the training. It's very easy.
Amy? Amy?
Had a training here on historic districts.
Yes.
Andy from our office can take you out to lunch anytime you want to learn more about historic zoning.
Now, and HDCs are their own animal. They have a lot more room for interpretation of their decisions than we do, which can be a little annoying to be on the other side of a historic district. I was one last night. But zoning, I like zoning because it is a bit more predictable as to what we can do, and we have our lanes. So
Amy,
that's great.
will we ever see a use variance?
At some point, I'm sure you will. We had one application that we thought was going to come in, and it hasn't materialized yet, but yeah, I'm sure at some point you will. Other cities and towns, like Providence, has use variances on their agenda on a regular basis. Usually, you're in an R3 zone, and you want to add an extra dwelling unit, make a 4-family from a 3-family, or a 3-family from a 2-family. It's much less common in South Kingstown to see a use variance, but eventually you will.
Okay.
And we're going to see a lot less, I think, with some of these changes coming up too, just in terms of accessories and now we have the special district did a lot too. We don't have to do the beach front anymore, so they're trying to eliminate. Make us irrelevant. No. All right. Anything else, folks? Nope. At that, thank you very much. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved. All in favor? Aye. Anybody want to stay? Thank you.